Alrighty, what's up guys? It is finally that time of the year. It is the time of the year to give you guys my top 10 manga that I have read in 2020. And to say this was not a difficult task would be a lie. This was very difficult to figure out and drop it down to 10. There was probably 25 series where I'm like, this was great. 95% of the series I read are really good. If they're not good, I stop reading it. But before we get into the list, I just want to say Happy New Year's. This video is going to be going up in 2021, so this is the first video of 2021. I also just want to say thank you to everyone for getting me to 4,000 subscribers. So I hope we got it before 2021, but I'm not sure. I think we're like maybe 10 or 20 subs away. But by the time this video goes up, I'm sure we hit 4K, so thank you guys so much for that. So these honorary mentions are series that either I really enjoyed but maybe haven't finished yet, or maybe they're still printing and I haven't read enough to really know whether it was a top series that I've read in 2020, or maybe it was just a great series but just didn't exactly make the cut. So for the first two honorary mentions, we have Doubt and we have Judge. These are both really cool manga, and both have like a similar concept to Saw and are a murder mystery type manga. Next honorary mention, we have Bokurano. This is a great series. It's volume 3 is really difficult to get, but this is really sad and emotional anime and manga. This revolves around kids having to save the earth by piloting these mechs, but every time a kid pilots one of the mechs, the kid ends up dying, so it's a very emotional manga, and I highly recommend it if you're able to get your hands on volume 3. Next honorary mention, we have Kaiji. Now this is a really cool gambling manga, but there's only 2 omnibuses out, so I still need some more before being really sold on it. I'm almost done, or probably halfway through volume 2. Next we have Goodnight Pun Pun. I believe I started this in 2020. I have just gotten most of the other volumes, but I've only read about 2 or 3 volumes of this series, so this is another one that hopefully I'll be finishing in 2021, but I did just want to mention this video. Next we have Dorohedoro. This would probably make the list if I had finished it up to this point, but I think I'm up to volume 16, so I still have some more volumes to go to really decide whether it's going to be pushed into this list, but this is definitely 100% a honorable mention. And I know this is kind of a long list of honorary mentions, but that's why I'm just trying to, do a very quick one sentence brief introduction to them and then move on to the next one, because we have 10 official ones that are on my list in just a moment. But honestly, I read so much great manga. Like I said, it's hard to just count it down to 10, so I do want to introduce you to as many series as I can. Next we have Moriarty the Patriot. This was a fantastic manga that I started in 2020. There's only 1 volume out so far though. The next one comes out January 5th, so this one will be one on the list to pick up more of soon. Next series I want to introduce you guys to is Dog Ninja, and if you watch my previous videos, you have already been familiar with this manga. This was a fantastic treat that we got introduced to at the end of 2020. I believe this released on December 1st, so can't wait for the next volume of this. This is a very funny manga. So that's it for the honorary mentions. So let's move on to the top 10 list, and nope, you stay down there. So for this top 10, I tried to choose some manga that, some of it people are going to recognize as a series that a lot of people have in their top 10s when they read it for the year. But I tried to choose at least a couple volumes that you don't see too often in people's top 10. The first one, which you're probably going to see a lot of, is Beastars. This, I felt like, was a fantastic series. I started this in 2020, and I have up to volume 9, I think, but when I own a series that's ongoing, that I pick up every single month, and that I end up reading as soon as I pick it up, it kind of shows, to me at least, that it's a series that I'm really into, and that's what I find with a lot of these series, especially the ongoing ones. It's the type of series where if it comes out and I can pick it up early and read it early, I do it. So Beastars is a fantastic manga. Most of you guys are already familiar with it, so I don't really have to explain it. To me, it's always the least confident, most self-conscious people who don't end up getting into Beastars. Next, and we'll just get this out of the way, because yes, I did start this in 2020, and yes, this has to be on the list, even though it's very generic to have on these lists. We have Berserk. Yes, this was a absolutely incredible manga. The Golden Age arc is fantastic, but even past that, I really enjoyed. I have up to 30-something volumes, and it's a ride the entire time. I binged it pretty quickly. It was one of those series where I didn't put it down, I didn't take breaks. I found every arc after the Golden Age arc to be really good, and I don't know, some people don't like it after the Golden Age arc, but I think you're just being extremely biased and probably just following the crowd of like wannabe cool kids. Next series, which you guys should be absolutely familiar with if you're a viewer of my channel, we have Ajin. You knew this was going to be on this list. I knew this was going to be on this list. This manga is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of it. It is super action-packed. The society is very crazy. It's based off of these demi-humans that are treated like slaves, and that's because they can't die, or at least humans have not found a way to be able to kill a demi-human. And the only way to tell if you're a demi-human, because they're not very common, but the only way to tell is when you die, because if you die and you don't come back, then you're not a demi-human, you're a regular human. If you die and you do end up coming back and your body regenerates, then you are a demi-human. That's not exactly a great explanation of the manga, but I'm pretty sure I probably have like a video, or I know Uchu Shelf has a video on this series, so there's already some great videos out on this, so I highly recommend checking those out if you are for some reason not familiar with Ajin. Next we'll throw in a little twist. This is something that I think I mentioned recently on one of the collaboration videos I did for someone. I can't remember who it was or which video I mentioned this on, but I actually did have this in my top 10. I really enjoyed this series, and the series is Opus by Satoshi Kon. This manga did things that I feel like other manga just has not done yet, or at least manga that I'm not familiar with. This was so interesting as a manga that breaks the fourth wall. You know, I also, rest in peace Satoshi Kon. He unfortunately was not able to finish this. I feel like most people know that though. So this doesn't have an actual ending, which makes it even more interesting. But the premise itself, as you know, the story is based off of this mangaka who is writing the story. He decides that he is going to kill off one of the main characters. The main character is not down with that, so the mangaka actually ends up getting sucked into his own story, and the story which he was still working on, the main villain is very, very OP, and there's a lot of just craziness that ensues within this one book. Some of you guys have probably already heard me say this before, but I highly recommend this to any manga reader. I think it is an absolute staple to someone's collection. Next up, we have two manga series from the same mangaka. So the first one we're going to start off with is The Flowers of Evil. So in 2020, I got introduced to this mangaka named Shuzo Oshimi, and man, am I happy and blessed to be introduced to this mangaka. I have loved everything that he has written. Inside Mari is, I'm still on the fence about, but all of his other series that I've read so far have been incredible. I love the way he writes. I love the way he writes characters. Flowers of Evil, you guys have probably heard me talk about this a lot. I've talked about it in hauls, I've talked about it in reading logs. I don't think I've made an actual video on it, but close enough. Most of you guys are probably already familiar with this manga, but this is based off of these two either middle schoolers or high schoolers, I'm not completely sure. This boy and this girl. The boy basically does something inside of his classroom that he definitely should not have done, and the girl catches him and basically blackmails him the entire manga. But this goes way beyond blackmail. This is a highly psychological manga. There's so many head games and just really crazy things that happen mentally and psychologically to these characters. But Shuzo Oshimi just has this magical way of being able to draw and create stories for these female antagonists slash protagonists. He knows how to draw crazy women and how to write and just script for them perfectly, if that makes any sense. And we see that in The Flowers of Evil. We see that in Blood on the Tracks with the kid's mother. We see that with Inside Mari, and then we also see it with the next series, which is Shuzo Oshimi's Happiness. Man, these covers are absolutely insane. If I made a video ranking my favorite manga covers, this series would 100% be there. It might even be number one. To talk about this series real quick, it's about vampires. There's some similarities to Tokyo Ghoul, so if you read Tokyo Ghoul, I think you would really enjoy Happiness. Personally, some people may think I'm crazy for this, but I actually kind of enjoyed Happiness, maybe a little more than Tokyo Ghoul. And not to say that Tokyo Ghoul is bad, I really did enjoy Tokyo Ghoul, and I know it's kind of a hot take to say, but I really enjoy Shuzo Oshimi. I really enjoyed Happiness, and I absolutely do not think you can go wrong with either starting with Happiness or Flowers of Evil if you want to get into Shuzo Oshimi. But it is more mature manga, so you know, read it at your own discretion, I guess. Next, we have a manga which might actually surprise some of you guys, because I do talk some crap about this manga, because I do have some issues with this manga, some things that absolutely do not need to be in this manga, some things that absolutely do not need to be in the series, but we have Maiden Abyss making the top 10 cut. Now, Maiden Abyss is an absolutely fantastic manga, and when I was making this list, once again, I was trying to think of, okay, what are series that when they release, I automatically pick up. I don't even wait. If I can get it early, I'll get it early. If I can't get it early, I get it as soon as I can. That's Maiden Abyss. Now, I don't think I've actually had this series when a volume has released. The next one that releases is in like March or something like that, or February, I don't know. But I think this series has a very slow release time. And once again, like I said, I do have some issues with some things in this manga, which I've made a video about. But the actual story and premise is just amazing. It's so interesting. The cave and abyss system is just nuts. All the different levels. I think there's just so much content that can be created with this manga. And it's crazy because my issues with this manga, like, you really got to figure that, like, the story and the concept which I'm talking about really outweighs my issues because with a typical manga, if I had the issues that I have with this manga, I would have just dropped it. So while I do think there are some flaws with this manga, I think it is absolutely needed in my top 10, if I'm being honest. Next, we have a manga that I am positive, if you guys have watched my other videos, you are very familiar with me talking about this one. And to be honest, there was absolutely no doubt in my mind this had added to the top 10. We have The Drifting Classroom. Now, you guys have, like I said, you guys have heard me talk about this so many times, but if you're into a horror / psychological manga, I highly, highly, highly recommend to get into this manga. It is a nice break from the Junji Ito realm that we get. You know, we get like a new Junji Ito book like every freaking month. The Drifting Classroom with Kazuo Mez as the mangaka, I swear, it is so incredibly good. It does things, once again, that other manga just don't do. It touches on topics that are very controversial. The age groups that it deals with is an age group that we usually don't see death and craziness from. This is a series that I can talk about forever. But to move on to the next series, we have Ikagami. This is another series which, as of more recent, most of you guys who have been watching my videos or talking to me on Discord or whatever, you guys know I am super into this series. This is, in my opinion, a very underrated series. It has pretty decent ratings on Mal, but just not a lot of people have been talking about it. It's not a new series. It's kind of an older, like, not older series, but, you know, a couple of years older. And I know you guys who are watching this video, like, as it's going up, or, you know, within the couple days it's uploading, have already seen some other videos of me talking about this series. So I'll just say it real quick because I know other people in the future who are watching this video, maybe months later, maybe haven't heard me talk about this series. But essentially, it's a population control series. You're given a shot in the first grade, and whenever you turn, I think 18 to like 26, there's a 1 in 1,000 chance that, and you just end up dying. The Ikagami cards are these cards that the government gives out 24 hours before your assigned date to die, which no one knows until 24 hours prior. But it's just a really, really incredible concept. It's crazy. I made a video on it, so check that out. And get the first volume of the manga if you want to check it out. The first volume of the manga basically spells out exactly how the rest of the volumes are going to go. And then the last manga on my top 10 list, which once again you guys are probably familiar with if you've been watching my channel for a little while. I am so happy this got a reprint, and anyone who hasn't checked this out yet, who is into darker manga, I highly recommend checking this out. We have Message to Adolf. I am once again so happy that this somehow got reprinted or restocked or whatever, because I was not expecting a whole lot out of this manga. I thought the concept was kind of interesting, but it also sounded kind of strange. And then once I finished Omnibus 1, I just dived right into Omnibus 2 because the ending is insane. The character development is fantastic. This is, in my opinion, one of my favorite manga that I have read in 2020 for a reason. Everyone who I've recommended Message to Adolf, at least the people who have talked to me after getting it, have really liked it. And once again, it's a darker manga. It's not crazy dark, but it's World War II dark, if you know what that means. It's also kind of semi-educational in terms of like Japan's perspective on a lot of things. Now, this is a fictionist story. This is not a real story that actually has happened. But there's certain viewpoints of things that you're not really taught in school. You're not really taught about Japan's perspective on things. So, I don't know. I thought this was pretty damn cool to be able to read, considering how expensive it was when it was out of print. And this is also made by the godfather of manga, Tezuka. So that's going to wrap up all of the manga that I really, really enjoyed in the year of 2020. I know technically it was a lot more than 10 volumes in this video, but like I said, it was hard to bring it down to 10. I needed to show off some other things just to, you know, maybe motivate some of you guys to check out some of these series. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have my wish list for 2020 coming up soon, as well as some other videos coming that I think are going to be a lot of fun, as well as, you know, live streams and stuff like that. So if you enjoyed this video, leave down in the comments what were your, you know, maybe top 5, top 10 manga that you read this year. And also, if you're watching this in 2021 and you're new to the channel, click the subscribe button and join the community. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I will catch you guys Later. In all serious though, this manga's garbage. Don't get it. Don't buy it. It's a meme. That's it.